After kneeling in supplication to the Bodhisattva Guanyin for the 99,999th time, my sister and I found ourselves once more on the fateful day of our reincarnation. In our previous life, she chose to be born into the womb of a wealthy matriarch, while due to the overwhelming number of souls seeking rebirth, I was relegated to the belly of a canary. Upon our simultaneous birth, she was lavished with adoration by her affluent mother, while I, as the offspring of a canary, endured her incessant mockery and derision. You, a wretched child born of a mistress, are not even worthy to carry my shoes. To my astonishment, our scoundrel father conspired with the canary to usurp the riches of the wealthy family, leading to their abrupt bankruptcy and transformation into a destitute household. An unexpected turn of fate. I, the canary's child, emerged as a respectable young lady. Upon witnessing the grand celebration of my coming-of-age ceremony showcased on my social media, she came to me, weeping and pleading for assistance. Sister, as our father's half-sisters, I implore you to help me. Moved by the bond of sisterhood, I considered offering her some financial aid, yet she betrayed my trust, pushing me into the swimming pool, where I tragically drowned. Once again, I returned to the day of reincarnation, but this time, she preemptively entered the womb of the canary. Unperturbed, I chose to be reborn into the womb of the wealthy matriarch. In the subsequent events, she repeatedly took her own life, crying out for yet another chance to start anew. One dear sister, it is now my turn to embody the esteemed eldest daughter of the Qin family. You may as well accompany that foolish woman who cannot hold a man's heart. My sister, Qin Miao Miao, maliciously grinned, having preemptively reincarnated into the womb of our two-bit father's canary. Her resolute and decisive figure elicited a quiet chuckle from me. Without further hesitation, I swiftly reincarnated into the womb of the affluent Cui Qian. In the next moment, I heard the canary Ling Weiwei brazenly proclaiming to Cui Qian, so what if you are Amos' wife? Your union is merely a commercial marriage. He truly loves me. You think that being pregnant will allow you to snatch Amo from me? He only cares about what is in my belly. Ling Weiwei's arrogant and self-satisfied voice echoed in my ears, causing even the embryo I was to tremble with trepidation. I shall never forget how she has tormented me throughout my childhood to serve her ambitions. Thus, when this life, Qin Miao Miao insisted on rushing to reincarnate into Ling Weiwei's womb, I was utterly delighted. Heaven knows how envious I am of her for having a wealthy mother who protects and dotes on her, allowing her to inherit vast fortunes from the moment she is born. The greatest suffering I have endured in life is the bitter taste of iced Americano. And I, a product of an extramarital affair, have faced scorn merely because of my origins. Furthermore, I have a canary mother who possesses beauty without brains. In her life philosophy, our worthless father is her everything. She spares no effort to vie for his affection, even going so far as to subject me to cold showers and deliberately induce allergies. The most ruthless act was when she sought out critically ill patients in the hospital to procure their intimate garments for me to wear, causing me to suffer from pneumonia at a tender age, leaving me with lifelong health issues. Lying on the hospital bed, I have envied Qin Miao Miao countless times for having a good mother. Yet, Qin Miao Miao does not share this sentiment. She constantly complains that her mother lacks awareness and cannot charm our worthless father, leading him to favor me and the canary instead. Thus, when the wealthy family faces bankruptcy, she is the first to strike. Relying on her wealthy mother's favoritism, she absconded with all the money to seek refuge with our worthless father. What kind of man is our father? He has been lying in wait for years to bring down the Cui family in one fell swoop. How could he possibly harbor any hopes for Qin Miao Miao, a child with the blood of the wealthy family? She is despised by her biological father and loathed by her mother, ultimately dragging me, her scapegoat, down with her. In this new life, she has indeed surprised me greatly. With a wealthy mother and the appearance of a parasitic flower who only seeks men in times of trouble, even a fool knows whom to choose. I shall wait and see if she can still smile when her body is worn down by the canary's torment. Shortly after Ling Weiwei departed, the circles buzzed with rumors of both the original wife and the mistress being pregnant simultaneously, suggesting the mistress is poised to take her place. Such blatant provocation could only be orchestrated by my canary mother. However, these rumors have had no impact whatsoever on the wealthy mother. Her marriage to our worthless father was merely a business arrangement devoid of any genuine affection. I remember it vividly. In my previous life, It was precisely because Chen Miao Miao caused such a ruckus in the wealthy mother's womb that she was compelled to delegate authority to her subordinates. It was this delegation during her pregnancy that sowed the seeds of future troubles, allowing our worthless father to infiltrate the company and ultimately leading to the wealthy mother's downfall. Compared to Chen Miao Miao, who was a harbinger of misfortune, I am but a reincarnation of a benevolent pearl, obedient beyond belief. While the wealthy mother worked, I never caused a fuss. I obediently listened with attentive ears. When she consumed supplements, I refrained from gluttony, avoiding becoming a ravenous child. When she exercised, I curled up in a compliant manner. All the typical pregnancy symptoms that ordinary mothers experience, she never encountered even once. Doctors praised me effusively, claiming they had never seen such an obedient fetus. Perhaps sensing my affection for her, even before my birth, the wealthy mother began to pave the way for me. She secured 3 properties in the bustling centers of Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, purchased 2 entire streets of commercial shops in prime locations, and arranged for me to receive dividends from her companies, all waiting to be handed over to me once I come of age. It could be said that as long as I do not cause a ruckus in starting a business, the annual dividends alone would suffice to ensure my comfort for several lifetimes. Unlike my circumstances, Chen Miao Miao suffered greatly in the canary's womb. The canary, fearing that her pregnancy would lead to weight gain and ruin her figure, thus losing our worthless father's affection, resorted to extreme dieting. Not only did she follow the erratic diets of internet celebrities, but she also bound her belly daily to control its size. Simultaneously, she would rise before dawn to prepare heartwarming breakfasts for our worthless father, claiming that to capture a man, one must first capture his stomach. Chen Miao Miao, starved and sleep-deprived, found her living space constricted, feeling utterly oppressed. 10 months later, both the wealthy mother and the canary went into labor simultaneously. This time, I took the initiative as the elder sister. I did not wish to cause distress to my wealthy mother, who had bestowed upon me vast riches. Indeed, upon witnessing my obedience, the wealthy mother enhanced my already substantial inheritance with an additional 10 kilograms of gold. In contrast, Chen Miao Miao was different. It seemed she was determined to announce her existence to the world, dragging herself out of the canary's womb after an entire day. The canary, transitioning from a natural to a cesarean birth, learned that a worthless child had marred her perfect figure. The gaze she cast upon her daughter Chen Miao Miao was filled with boundless resentment. Yet, our worthless father, due to her difficult labor, afforded her a modicum of care, allowing her to refrain from unleashing her wrath upon the newly born Chen Miao Miao. In my previous life, I had emerged too quickly, not waiting for our worthless father to arrive. The canary had wished to strangle me, declaring that a burden who could not help her retain our worthless father had no right to live. Had it not been for the nurse's timely intervention, I would have succumbed to oxygen deprivation, becoming a child with cerebral palsy. However, this time, everything unfolded differently. While Chen Miao Miao was treated as a tool for feigned illness to vie for affection, I, following the wealthy mother's plan, entered an international school, cultivating relationships with children from prestigious families and establishing valuable connections. In her effort to garner our worthless father's affection, Chen Miao Miao incessantly pestered him with basic arithmetic. Under the guidance of the wealthy mother, I enjoyed access to the most elite educational resources, with all my teachers being top-notch talents. When Chen Miao Miao flaunted the jewelry bestowed upon her by our worthless father in front of me, I had already begun my practical experience in the company during the period after the college entrance examination. Chen Miao Miao looked upon this with disdain, believing it to be futile. For in the end, the entire Cui family would belong to her father. She asserted that careers were meant for men, while women like us only needed to be beautiful. As her words reached my ears, I paid them no mind, focusing solely on my own endeavors. Yet, on the eve of my 18th birthday, the Cui family faced a catastrophic downfall. With the Cui family's abrupt collapse, those who had once fawned over us turned into vultures, eager to tear away a piece of flesh from the once mighty beast. Our worthless father, having long awaited this opportunity, seized it and presented a divorce agreement. Although the wealthy mother held no affection for him, after nearly 2 decades as his partner, how could she remain unaffected emotionally? While I busied myself comforting my mother, I learned that the canary, upon hearing of our worthless father's intention to divorce, had brought Chen Miao Miao to our doorstep. This marked our first official encounter since the reopening, and unlike the proud and confident princess I remembered, her face was now etched with the marks of subservience. Clutching our worthless father's divorce agreement, the canary exuded confidence. As she boldly spoke against the wealthy mother, Chen Miao Miao too raised her chin, disdainfully prepared to interject. From a young age, the one my father cherished the most was none other than my mother and me, a sentiment that shall remain unchanged. Qin Jiwei, your fortunate days are numbered. It is high time for me to take my rightful place as the heiress. For years, I have been overshadowed by that vile Chun Qian. Forced to study and conform, living as nothing more than a puppet. How wretched it must be for her. I gaze at her as if she were a fool. How did she ever perceive that I found life unbearable? Goodness, life has been nothing short of splendid for me. As long as I have the desire to pursue my ambitions, there is nothing beyond my reach. Every endeavor is cushioned by a safety net. And I am afforded countless opportunities to experiment and err. Furthermore, the greatest advantage of having a wealthy mother is that I am free from the burden of siblings vying for resources. My affluent mother has devoted all her resources solely to me. At the tender age of 18, she has already secured ample capital for my ventures. As for my father's affection, what value does a mere illusion of love hold when one possesses wealth and resources? Let us not forget that Qin Miao Miao has yet to acquire any property, and options are something she has never even laid eyes upon. She may still be oblivious to the fact that her canary-like mother is expecting a male offspring through in vitro fertilization, destined to inherit everything from our father, ready to latch onto her like a leech. In my previous life, she barged into my coming-of-age ceremony, dragging me down with her, yet I owe her my gratitude. After all, that so-called ceremony was nothing more than a facade, designed to select a suitable suitor for me, now that I had reached a marriageable age. My father, driven by self-interest, and the canary, eager to secure her status, sought only those with hidden flaws. Only such individuals could afford the price they deemed satisfactory. And what folly possessed her to believe I, a phoenix risen from the ashes, would stand idly by while the wealth of the richest family crumbled? True. Our family is in a precarious situation, but I have never declared that this crisis is insurmountable. What appears dire now is merely a ploy between my mother and me to flush out the parasites lingering in the company. Yet, these matters need not concern her. She revels in her arrogance, and I eagerly anticipate the moment she falls from her lofty perch. Will she regret being born of that canary? Noticing my silence, Chen Miao Miao tossed aside an invitation to the coming-of-age ceremony. Though we are sisters, our fates have diverged. This time, the young lady has graciously permitted you to witness my moment of glory, thus honoring the bond of sisterhood. I lowered my gaze, suppressing a smile. A moment of glory? More like a moment of darkness. The day of Chen Miao Miao's coming-of-age ceremony arrived as expected. Armed with the invitation, I strode confidently into the venue. The attendees, taken aback by my presence, quickly masked their surprise with composure. Those entrenched in business at this level are seasoned foxes. Even if they privately yearn to tear each other apart, they maintain a facade of cordiality. Dressed in a delicate pink princess gown, Chen Miao Miao resembled a doll. As I surveyed the crowd, I recognized many familiar faces from my own coming-of-age ceremony in a past life. This time, however, the main character was different. She was led to the center stage by our father, announcing her identity to all present. I caught her eye, adorned with a crown. As she shot me a defiant glance, I raised my glass in acknowledgement, and her brow furrowed slightly, perplexed by my unwavering demeanor. Setting my glass down, I whispered into my earpiece, "Commence the operation." In an instant, a throng of police officers burst through the entrance. "Chen Guofu and Qin Miao Miao, you are under arrest." The grand coming-of-age celebration devolved into chaos at the sight of the police. Amidst the turmoil, the champagne tower shattered, cascading shards across the floor. Panic-stricken, Chen Miao Miao grasped our father's clothing, her face a portrait of distress. "Father, what are we to do? How am I to know? Did you and your mother provoke Chun Qian? I have repeatedly warned you not to bring your troubles before them. Do you take my words lightly? Do you need me to remind you of your status versus hers?" Our father's meticulously styled hair resembled a bird's nest, revealing his agitation. The thought of being apprehended at the gala and the ensuing media frenzy was beyond his comprehension. Chen Miao Miao, oblivious to the convoluted thoughts swirling in our father's mind, was solely consumed by her grievances. Tears streamed down her face, embodying the heart-wrenching visage taught by her canary mother. Yet, father, I am also your daughter. Typically. Our father might have offered some consolation, but with the police at our doorstep, his patience was wearing thin. Stop your blubbering. Your incessant crying has drained my fortune. The sharp crack of his palm echoed as he struck her. Chen Miao Miao clutched her face in disbelief, her eyes wide with shock. She never expected her indulgent father to turn on her. I stood in the corner, stifling a laugh at the spectacle unfolding before me. Chen Miao Miao truly believed that our father adored her. Having spent ample time beside my wealthy mother, I could discern the truth. Our father's affection was akin to a fondness for a pet. As long as she remained docile and agreeable, his affection could easily be directed towards anyone else. The absence of any opportunities for her to step into the center of power was evidence enough. She did not even possess a house in her name. Astonishingly, she still naively regarded our father as her deity. Sometimes I find myself pondering whether to label her innocent or foolish. Such affection from our father is a commodity anyone could claim. She, the ungrateful wretch, needs a heartless father like him to keep her in line. In my previous life, my mother meticulously arranged for her education and provided excellent teachers, only to be viciously betrayed by Chen Miao Miao. Unable to rise above her own failures, she blamed others instead. Ultimately, Chen Miao Miao was led away in handcuffs, her face marked with the imprint of his hand. Before departing, her furious gaze fell upon me. Although both Chen Miao Miao and our father were apprehended, our father, a veteran in the business world, managed to leverage his connections and was released on bail within days. Chen Miao Miao's first act upon her release was to call me, threatening me. Chen Jiwei admitted, "You're just jealous. You envy that our father loves me, his only daughter, and you will stop at nothing to ruin me. But little did you know, not only can you not destroy me, but you also unwittingly bestowed upon me a splendid marriage proposal. My dear sister, this time you truly have shot yourself in the foot." Her haughty tone elicited a cold chuckle from me. I yearned to pry open her mind and discover what lay within. Even at this juncture, she remains oblivious to her place in our father's heart, a mere object, interchangeable for money and resources when necessary. I await the day she learns the truth about that splendid engagement and the expression that will grace her face. Chen Miao Miao's engagement party was extravagant, serving to mask the scandal of her coming-of-age ceremony. News articles flooded the media, complete with photographs sent to our home, ensuring I was acutely aware of her seemingly glorious life. In the images, she was intimately posed with a dashing man, exuding charm. Yet his body language hinted at a disdain for her. Oblivious, Chen Miao Miao beamed with joy. "Dear Chen Miao Miao, if I were you, I would thoroughly investigate your betrothed's romantic history. You might stumble upon unexpected revelations." I recall my mother specifically mentioning this gentleman. Though he appears gallant and virile, in reality, he prefers to be on the receiving end. Chen Miao Miao could hardly heed my words, her voice raised in a fit of rage. "Vile creature. You simply cannot stand to see me thrive. You seek to sow discord between us. I assure you that will not come to pass. My husband is the finest in the world, and do not think that by attempting to disrupt our bond, you can ascend in status. My husband would never dote on a tomboy devoid of feminine charm like you." Very well, as a fellow woman, I offered a kind warning, only to be met with the haughty disdain of a pampered wife. I, too, am foolish, fully aware of her true nature, yet still inviting scorn upon myself. Since that moment, I have resolutely ignored all her messages. Yet, she persevered, sending me updates punctually each day, showcasing her pampered existence from all angles. Tired of her antics, I promptly banished her to my blacklist. Unbothered by her interference, I devoted myself to learning from the wealthiest matriarch how to manage our family business. My mother has no other heirs. This enterprise will inevitably fall to me, so it is prudent for me to assume control early on. However, even after I blacklisted her, I encountered Chen Miao Miao at a business summit 3 months later, accompanying her fiancé. The heavy makeup could not conceal the dark circles beneath her eyes. Yet, upon seeing me, she wasted no time in speaking out. "Chen Jiwei? Oh, so you've latched onto that wealthy man to gain entry here? Quite the skill you possess, managing to charm your way into such a venue." Her eyes glowed with envy as she beheld my latest haute couture ensemble. "That dress was mine first. What right do you have to wear it?" She lunged at me, intent on tearing at my attire. I raised my hand and delivered a sharp slap across her face. The resounding crack drew the gaze of everyone present toward us. "You dare lay a hand on me? Do you realize who I am?" she shrieked, her voice hoarse. Attempting to retaliate but was thwarted by security. I accepted the handkerchief offered by my assistant and meticulously wiped my palm where she had touched me. This action further incited her fury, leaving her in infinite rage. "Chin Miao Miao, that slap is merely the prelude to a defamation lawsuit. You claim that this dress was yours first? A hand-tailored piece. Where could you have possibly seen it?" Her face shifted through hues of green and red, resembling a spilled palette. Her jealousy was unmistakable. The commotion soon attracted the attention of Chin Miao Miao's fiancé, who, upon witnessing her distress, she immediately seized the opportunity to complain. "Darling, this vile creature is bullying me. You must help me reclaim my dignity." Her fiancé glanced between us, then raised his hand to deliver a slap, his sixth strike. This time, Chin Miao Miao's face was perfectly symmetrical. She stood in shock, silence enveloping the scene. Her fiancé, with utmost respect, bowed his head to apologize to me. "My apologies. Miss Chin, this wretched woman has disturbed your peace. I shall ensure she is properly reprimanded." With that, he shot her a fierce glare. Instinctively, she recoiled, tears clinging to her lashes, utterly pitiful. Her minuscule brain could scarcely comprehend why her fiancé did not defend her but instead turned against her. "Darling, have you lost your mind? I am your fiancé. How could you lay a hand on me?" She must have thought he should have dragged me away, chastised me, and then comforted her with new garments and jewels. Her fiancé could not help but roll his eyes, nearly amused by her absurd antics. What did she think this was? A romance novel? She believed she could orchestrate a dramatic scene. Not to mention my elevated status made me someone they could never provoke. Moreover, she was the one who initiated the provocation. Even if I were to leave her disfigured, her fiancé would likely only smile and inquire if my hand was sore. This is the power of authority. Yet, Chin Miao Miao did not grasp this. How could she? She had long been steeped in the belief that men are paramount, and women merely exist to serve them. After all, her relationship with her father was based on such a dynamic. The canary only needed to act coy to be spoiled by the neglectful father. Influenced by this, she fancied herself capable of winning a man's heart. Little did she realize that a wealthy wife requires more than mere ornamentation. She demands genuine power and influence. The fact that someone was interested in her was simply a reflection of her humble beginnings. She believed she could manipulate others, oblivious to the fact that she was the one being manipulated, a mere vase for producing heirs, while I was the true heir wielding power over the corporation. Even a fool could discern which path to choose. Observing her fiancé groveling before me, Chin Miao Miao seethed with fury, directing her wrath at him. "You useless waste. You remained silent while others bullied your fiancé. How could I ever marry a man like you? I demand an annulment. I refuse to wed a waste." At this point, she had truly struck a nerve with him. His face turned a dark shade of anger, his voice resonating throughout the gathering. "Wretched girl. It seems I have been far too lenient with you." She was seized by the hair and dragged away, casting me a venomous glare, as if she wished to devour me whole. Chin Miao Miao was placed under strict control, her daily existence now solely focused on procreation. Meanwhile, under the guidance of the wealthiest matriarch, I gradually took over the corporation. When a project I spearheaded achieved remarkable success, the matriarch officially declared my status as the heir. That very night, she transferred 51 of the company's shares to me. I had truly become the core leader of the company, possessing veto power over all matters. As I sat in the CEO's chair, surveying the skyscrapers below, a profound sense of satisfaction surged within me. In my previous life, I had pleaded to my father to allow me to enter the company and learn, yet to no avail. Now, it felt as though I had been reborn. What I desired was delivered to me without utterance, as the matriarch willingly offered it, allowing me to act without hesitation. With real power at my disposal, I seized the opportunity to implement sweeping reforms. This overhaul directly impacted my father's interests. In an apparent moment of contrition, he sought to reconnect with me, attempting to persuade me to retract the personnel changes in the finance department. I was no fool. I would not confront him head-on but rather engage in a strategic dance. This scene, witnessed by Chin Miao Miao, undoubtedly drove her to madness. Ever since her outburst at the summit, my father had lost face, and he had abandoned his useless daughter entirely. After all, she was not a son, merely a tool for resource exchange, easily discarded. The canary naturally aligned with her father's choices, especially now that she carried a male fetus. The importance of a son far outweighed that of a daughter. Thus, Qin Miao Miao found herself forsaken by those closest to her. In her moment of despair, she recalled the kindness the matriarch had shown her and began desperately reaching out to regain her favor. To prove her loyalty, she spoke ill of the canary, claiming she was unworthy of motherhood, that she abused and harmed her, using her merely as a pawn in the competition for affection. The matriarch, upon receiving this information, immediately sought me out. "Jiwei, has Qin Miao Miao lost her mind? How dare the daughter of a mistress come before me and make demands? Does she truly believe she can usurp your position? She must not know her place. I have never encountered someone so shameless." This was the first time I had witnessed such fury in the matriarch. As I offered some words of comfort, I took her phone and swiftly forwarded the message to the canary. Before long, I received news of Qin Miao Miao's disfigurement. Upon hearing the news, I was utterly astounded by the canary's ruthless actions. While I was aware of her disdain for Qin Miao Miao's intrusion into her father's attention, I never anticipated she would act with such ferocity. Even her own flesh and blood was not spared. The disfigured Qin Miao Miao has indeed called off her engagement. After the annulment, she underwent a profound transformation, spending her days sequestered within the confines of her room. She expended a considerable sum to acquire a statue of Guanyin, which she placed in her chamber, prostrating herself before it daily, beseeching the Bodhisattva for a chance to start anew. To this, I could only chuckle. The prospect of reincarnation was granted to her solely due to her usurpation of my destiny. I possessed the merit of 10 lifetimes, and I was destined to be reborn into a family of immense wealth and opulence. Yet, due to Qin Miao Miao's audacious interference, my rightful place was usurped, leading to my untimely and gruesome demise. Thus, to be granted another chance is a divine recompense for me. Had Qin Miao Miao not been so foolishly deluded, she could have leveraged her past memories to liberate herself from the shackles of a gilded cage and her scoundrel father, forging her own path. However, she chose instead to bask in the fruits of others' labor, waiting to be nurtured by others, much like a parasitic plant that clings to a towering tree. While she devoted her time to invoking deities and pleading for a second opportunity, her scoundrel father faced substantial compensation demands due to my internal reckoning within the conglomerate. For years, he had exploited his position to misappropriate public funds and line his own pockets, substituting inferior materials in construction projects to reap exorbitant profits. He even established overseas companies, utilizing corporate connections to secure financing for his shell corporations, amassing sums exceeding hundreds of millions. Until now, I had refrained from addressing his misconduct, primarily out of consideration for his marriage to the wealthiest matriarch, as they appeared unified in the eyes of outsiders. With the recent fallout at the Cui family, he was eager to sever ties with this burdensome alliance, opting to leave with nothing but the clothes on his back. To mark this occasion, I took the liberty of broadcasting their divorce announcement on the central building's advertising screens for an entire month. To prevent him from absconding with the funds abroad, I made arrangements with the relevant authorities to restrict his movements. He sought assistance from his canary, yet she had accompanied him since her university days, never having experienced the harsh realities of life. When he offered her money to facilitate his escape, she failed miserably, losing all her funds to swindlers. With debts mounting and his former glory dissipated, the scoundrel father ascended to the rooftop of the conglomerate and leaped to his demise. Without him, the canary was left devastated. Devoid of survival skills, she used her meager savings to terminate her pregnancy and ultimately found herself in the nightlife scene, continuing her parasitic existence by attaching herself to one man after another. Yet, with age creeping upon her and her beauty fading, she met a tragic end, succumbing to a disease. As for Qin Miao Miao, since the deaths of her father and the canary, she was left utterly alone. Desperation consumed her as she sought to end her life in increasingly inventive ways. No, this cannot be right. I am indeed the daughter of the wealthiest family. Surely there has been a mistake. I must have another chance. Yet, each of her attempts at self-harm was thwarted, as my people vigilantly monitored her, rescuing her just as she hovered on the brink of death. It was only when she attempted to slit her wrists in the pool that I condescended to pay her a visit. The water was stained crimson with her blood as she floated, barely alive. Qinjiwei, do you believe you have triumphed? Even in death, I shall not release you. Next time, I shall surely prevail. With these words, she finally succumbed. Alas, this is not a game. There are no opportunities for a restart. I, however, shall cherish this chance immensely, seizing the present and treasuring the future. The end. Thank you for listening. We shall meet again in the next tale.